The twinkling lights adorning the streets near Mercy General Hospital cast a warm glow against the crisp winter air. Garlands and wreaths hung from lampposts, their red bows fluttering in the gentle breeze. Inside the hospital, a modest Christmas tree stood in the lobby, its ornaments reflecting the overhead lights and bringing a touch of festive cheer to the otherwise sterile environment. On the pediatric floor, the sound of beeping monitors and hushed conversations filled the air. In room 305, 5-year-old Charlie lay still, his small frame dwarfed by the hospital bed. His chest rose and fell with each labored breath, the steady rhythm of the heart monitor a constant reminder of his fragile condition. Charlie's parents, Sarah and Mike, sat by his bedside, their faces etched with worry. Sarah held Charlie's hand, her thumb gently stroking his palm. Mike stood by the window, his gaze fixed on the twinkling lights outside, silently willing them to bring some holiday magic to their son. Dr. Thompson entered the room, his footsteps soft on the linoleum floor. He picked up Charlie's chart, his brow furrowing as he reviewed the latest test results. "I'm afraid Charlie's condition hasn't improved," he said softly. "We're doing everything we can, but his heart is still struggling." Sarah's grip on Charlie's hand tightened, her eyes filling with tears. Mike moved to her side, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. The weight of their worry hung heavy in the air, mingling with the faint scent of pine from the Christmas tree down the hall. Miles away, in a cozy suburban home, a husky called Frost lay curled up on his bed. His ears suddenly perked up, and he lifted his head, alert and focused. Something wasn't right. He could feel it in his bones, an inexplicable pull that made his heart race. Frost got to his feet, padding over to the front door. He whined softly, scratching at the wood. The pull grew stronger, urging him to action. With a determined huff, he nudged the door handle with his nose, relief flooding through him as it clicked open. Without hesitation, Frost darted out into the night. His paws carried him swiftly through the streets, guided by an instinct he couldn't explain. The cold air ruffled his thick fur as he ran, his breath coming out in puffs of white mist. As Frost approached Mercy General Hospital, he slowed his pace. The sliding doors opened as a group of visitors exited, and Frost seized his opportunity. He slipped inside, his nails clicking softly on the polished floor. The hospital bustled with activity, nurses and doctors hurrying past, visitors clutching bouquets of flowers and get-well cards. Frost moved cautiously, his blue eyes scanning his surroundings. He ducked behind a large potted plant as a security guard walked by, holding his breath until the coast was clear. Frost's nose twitched, picking up the myriad of scents in the air. Antiseptic, coffee, flowers, and something else. Something familiar. Charlie. The scent was faint, but it was there, calling to him like a beacon. With renewed determination, Frost began to navigate the maze of corridors. He stuck close to the walls, pausing whenever someone approached. A nurse pushing a cart of medications walked by, and Frost quickly ducked into an open supply closet. His heart pounded in his chest as he made his way up to the pediatric floor. The elevator dinged, and Frost darted out, narrowly avoiding a group of doctors deep in discussion. He paused at a corner, his ears swiveling to catch any sound of approaching danger. As Frost rounded the corner, he saw a sign for room 305. Charlie's scent grew stronger, mixed with the sharp tang of fear and illness. Frost's pace quickened, his instincts driving him forward. Just as Frost reached the door to Charlie's room, alarms began to blare. The sound pierced through the quiet hospital, sending staff running towards the source. Frost slipped into the room unnoticed amidst the chaos. Inside, Charlie lay pale and still, his small chest barely moving. The monitors beeped frantically, their urgent rhythm matching the panic in the room. Dr. Thompson rushed in, shouting orders to the nurses who followed. Without hesitation, Frost leaped onto the bed. He carefully maneuvered around the tangle of wires and tubes, positioning himself on Charlie's chest. The dog's warm, heavy body pressed gently against the boy, his steady heartbeat a stark contrast to Charlie's erratic one. For a moment, the room fell silent. All eyes were on the unexpected visitor, shock and disbelief written across every face. Then, slowly, miraculously, the frantic beeping of the monitors began to slow. Dr. Thompson stepped forward, his eyes darting between Charlie and the monitors. "I don't believe it," he murmured, watching as Charlie's vital signs began to stabilize. The boy's chest rose and fell more evenly, his color gradually improving. Sarah and Mike, who had been ushered out of the room during the crisis, peered in through the doorway. Their eyes widened at the sight of Frost, lying protectively over their son. Is that Frost?" Sarah whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Mike nodded, unable to speak. They watched in awe as Charlie's fingers twitched, then slowly curled around a tuft of Frost's fur. The dog let out a soft whine, nuzzling Charlie's cheek gently. The tension in the room began to dissipate, replaced by a cautious sense of hope. Dr. Thompson continued to monitor Charlie's vitals, shaking his head in amazement. "I've never seen anything like this," he admitted. "His heart rate is stabilizing. His blood pressure is improving. It's as if the dog's presence is somehow regulating his system." A nurse approached cautiously, her hand outstretched towards Frost. The dog lifted his head, his blue eyes meeting hers calmly. She gently patted his head, marveling at the surreal scene before her. Should we move the dog?" another nurse asked hesitantly. Dr. Thompson paused, considering. He looked at Charlie's monitors, then back at the peaceful tableau of boy and dog. "No," he said finally. "For now, let's leave them be. Whatever's happening here, it's helping Charlie more than anything we've been able to do." Sarah and Mike were allowed back into the room, moving quietly to Charlie's bedside. Sarah reached out, her hand trembling as she stroked Charlie's hair. "Hey, sweetie," she whispered, her voice choked with tears. "Look who came to visit you." Mike scratched behind Frost's ears, his other hand resting on Charlie's arm. The family formed a protective circle around the bed, the beeping of the monitors now a reassuring backdrop to the soft sound of Frost's breathing. As the night wore on, the initial shock gave way to a sense of wonder. Nurses passing by the room would pause, smiling at the sight of Frost keeping his vigilant watch over Charlie. Word spread through the hospital about the mysterious dog who had somehow known exactly where he was needed. In the early hours of the morning, Charlie's eyelids fluttered. Slowly they opened, revealing confused brown eyes. He blinked, focusing first on the familiar weight on his chest. A small smile tugged at his lips as he recognized Frost. "Hey, buddy," Charlie whispered, his voice hoarse from disuse. Frost's tail thumped against the bed, his whole body wiggling with joy at the sound of Charlie's voice. Sarah and Mike, who had been dozing in chairs by the bed, jolted awake at the sound. "Charlie!" Sarah exclaimed, leaning in close. "Oh, sweetheart, how are you feeling?" Charlie's smile widened as he looked at his parents. "I'm okay," he said softly. Frost kept the bad dreams away. Mike wiped at his eyes, unable to hide his tears of relief. He pressed the call button, and within moments, Dr. Thompson arrived, his eyes widening as he saw Charlie awake and alert. As the doctor began his examination, the mood in the room was one of cautious optimism. Charlie's vital signs continued to improve, his responses growing stronger with each passing hour. Through it all, Frost remained a constant presence, moving only to allow the medical staff to do their work before settling back at Charlie's side. The sun rose over Mercy General Hospital, its warm light filtering through the windows. In room 305, it illuminated a scene of hope and healing. A boy, a dog, and a family brought together by a bond that defied explanation. As the hospital began to stir with the start of a new day, the story of Frost's miraculous arrival began to spread, touching hearts and rekindling belief in the magic of the holiday season. What did you think of Frost's miraculous story? Do you believe animals can sense when they're needed most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that remind us of the power of love and connection.